Back. So today I thought I would talk about when I met my dad and about my actual real father. Um, but first of all, Andrea asked me if my mom and me are still, if my mom is still in my life. Yes, she lives like a couple miles down the road, and every couple of months we usually end up getting into a fight and stop talking for a couple weeks, maybe a month. Who knows? It's like a friend relationship, but it's not like a healthy one. So that's what's going on with my mom. So also my battery's dying, so I might end up having to cut this short. But if it happens, then I'll pick back up, I guess, where I left off. Um, so my dad. I met my dad when I was 12 years old. I met him and my two brothers. They're twins. Their names were Alan and Alex, and my dad's name is Richard. And where Michael was like verbally abusive and I was always too fat or too slow or too stupid or too lazy, with my dad, I was like, wow, I'm ready for a whole new thing. And he actually, I feel like he may have had that tendency, but I think he was really excited to have like a tough ass girl as for a daughter because um, his sons were not exactly what you call tough. But I mean, they're still tough. They're strong and they're healthy and they're gorgeous guys, and they both turn out to be gay. And that's my mom says it's her own little personal joke to my dad because he's this big, tall, buff guy, and he he ends up with two gay sons and a hard ass for a daughter. So, anyways, when we go out in public, he would be like, these are my girls, and here's my boy," introduce me like that. And that always made me feel really good. So when I first met him, um, we met in Novi. There was a little restaurant on the corner by the Farmer Jack in Novi, and we met up there, and I was super happy. It was really awkward, but I was just really excited to have this person that I've seen this picture of all these years. This picture of all these years to actually put the voice and everything to him to actually see him. And so we it was good. It was the three of us. I mean, I didn't ever live with my dad. I did like spend the night. I'd spend weekends with them, with my dad and my brothers. My brothers didn't live with him either. They lived with their mom and stepdad. Um, so, you know, we would just all come over and spend some time with my dad or at his house, at his apartment. And it was fun. It was really fun. But my dad is what you call a male chauvinist pig. So when I had any kind of friend that was even slightly attractive, he would say things like, "Tell your friend to give me a call when she turns 18." And just stupid things like that. Like he'd be like, "Oh, you guys look really, you're gonna be gorgeous when you're growing up." And then as an adult, when I went downstate, I actually brought my little friend Chelsea from Oscoda with me and introduced her to him. And he was probably trying to take on the role of sugar daddy. I mean, he's just so freaking crazy like that. Like for the longest time, he still was in denial that he's 10 years older than my mom. And he was always trying to say like that he was 10 years younger than her. And he has like these pictures of himself on like his Facebook and stuff where he's like shirtless, and he's just a funny guy. And we don't have like a close really relationship. I don't even call him dad. I don't call him anything. In my phone he saved his father. I would love for it to be something different, but I never called Michael dad when I wanted to call Michael dad. Then some shit hit the fan, and then I guess I didn't want to call him that anymore. And with my dad, we just never really bonded enough to do that for me to feel comfortable to call him dad. Now, so when I was 13, he came and picked me up and wanted to take me to New York with him. So we went to New York, and it's kind of hazy. But I remember that we went to Ground Zero. I was 13, so it was 2003. And we seen the building and everything was all rubble and it was still smoking. I remember that. And then I don't even remember where we slept. I don't even know. It's just like stupid details you think I would remember. But I remember we went to a bar met up with his friend, and there was this hot ass bartender. And here I am, 13, all right? But apparently I looked older than 13 because that guy was trying to serve me alcohol. And he did. He brought me an Irish coffee, and my dad tells me, and him and his friend are laughing with each other, and he says to me, if you get in trouble, we don't know you. And I'm like, okay, great, thanks so much. You bring me to this fucking state that I don't know anybody except for you, and you're going to say you don't know me if I get in trouble. I'm at the bar with you, dude. But, yeah, so we had, like, some blowouts, like, it was, he just couldn't really understand. He never really was used to having a girl. He never, I was really emotional, and he was definitely not used to that. And, I was fragile. I had this fucking douchebag for a stepdad who was so fucking screwed up in his head that he wanted to make me feel lower about myself. So then when I come into my dad's life, and he is just like totally unprepared for what he's getting himself into. And so, he lives in Canton, and after I got in trouble with the thing with my breaking into my stepdad's house to get my things out and everything, when I came back downstate, I needed someplace to stay, so I ended up staying at my dad's house and then taking cab rides to BT's from there, and it worked out good. It was good for a while until I got back in touch with Mike, and that's that story I said about where he thought I was going to rat on his cousin, and I said no, and then he said, well, you want to come upstairs? And I said yeah, and then I never really left his house after that. We would leave the house, but I always stayed there from that moment. So, my dad, I feel like he was a little butthurt about that, but he, he's kind of like, he thinks he's God's gift to women, and he puts himself up on like a pedestal or whatever, and he's a good guy, but he's just got these really shallow, shitty attitudes about people, about life in general. And I feel like there's some similarities with his attitude and with my stepdad, but my stepdad's on a whole extreme more level, like just way worse. My dad is actually somebody that I talk to on the phone for a while, for hours, and we get along. And he has some kind of sick sense of humor too, so that's probably why we click like that, I guess. But yeah, so I talk to him still, but he won't call me. He says, even though he says the phone goes both ways, he will not ever call me, so I have to only call him. And because I just don't call him very often, when I did talk to him, he told me that Alex, who lives in California now, he calls him or checks in on him all the time, and so he says he's getting the inheritance, and me and Alan are getting like $10 or something shit like that. He's just fucking crazy. So when I was in Detroit and I called him from jail, he fucking said some shit to me like, me and your mom, we already got a grave plot picked out for you and everything, and we got the pine box, we just need to measure you for it. And so that really felt really shitty, like he doesn't really care. And when he came to see me in Detroit, he wanted me to smoke crack in front of him. I don't know why he wanted me to do that, but he took me in the spot, waited outside in the car for me to come back outside. I said, I don't really want to do this. And he said, just do it. Just smoke it up. Just fucking light it up. You do it any other time. So I did. I smoked crack in front of him. And that was a really weird situation, and then he also said, oh, he would sit there and watch me if I wanted to go out and do some dates. He would make sure that nothing fucking bad happened to me. It was just like really shitty, like not really a father type deal. So whereas my mom and me aren't really mother-daughter, my dad and me aren't really father-daughter either. It's just the lines of my family relationships are so fucked up and so skewed fucking that nobody's really clear on an actual role that we play. So my dad's more like a fucking buddy, somebody that sends me screwed up nasty videos on Facebook Messenger, and my mom's somebody I get fucking high with, and so Yeah, my dad will come up here, but it's so fucking stupid. Like he goes to California to see my brother. I live up north, 3 hours fucking away from him. He lives downstate. Okay, so it should be, oh, and he drives all the way fucking up here because he likes to snowmobile. So he'll take 75 past Oscoda and then call me like when he's on his way home and say, oh yeah, well I was up there, but we couldn't stop. Okay, really, you don't ever fucking see me. You don't ever see your granddaughter. So it's just really frustrating to me. And that's pretty much, when we went, okay, when he did come up here and we all went to a restaurant together, he caused a big fucking scene and he made everybody feel really embarrassed. He really, he got the cook guy. The cook actually came out and almost practically jumped over and attacked my dad. I mean, he was really upset because my dad was calling him out on his food or whatever. And the waitress was so like put out of place. She didn't know how to fucking respond to what was going on. And I mean, she was so nice. She really handled it really well. So we were surprised. But these types of things are like why I feel like it's probably better to keep my relationship with him, limited because he's got this attitude that he's right and everybody else is wrong, and anybody that thinks that he's wrong could just fucking go kick rocks. So, um, but you know, we don't fight. We don't have any problems with each other. I mean, he wants to come here and spoil the baby when he ever does come up here. And, I made him a grandpa. He's certainly not going to get that from my brothers. And so he told me that it was up to me to carry on his line, his legacy. And that's what I'm doing, with Kyrie. And that's going to be his only grandkid. I mean, obviously I might have some more babies and make him more grandkids, but for now we just have Kyrie, and he really likes her. He's so funny. He's like, is she walking? Is she talking yet? When he talks to me on the phone, put her on the phone. Let me say something to her.